Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters Net podcast. I'm your host Brian, and joining me today is a special guest hailing from the UK, Simon Williams, aka Redial Destination. How you doing, brother?
I'm brilliant today. Thank you very much.
That's pretty good to hear. And I guess how you been recently? What's new?
What's new? I've got a gig coming next week. We're doing a charity gig, which is the first time we've gone out and performed because it's like a one-man band. So, but yeah, it's hopefully going to be a few more gigs coming up. So that's what's happening at the moment. Preparing for that next week.
You said it's just a one-man gig. Are you just you're the only guy at the band? Is there nobody else who kind of joins you, or do you kind of ask for like session musicians to kind of step in?
I use sometimes I ask some friends to join in. There's on one of my songs, "Define Me," that was written with a singer friend of mine. But everything else is usually done by me, which is quite an interesting thing to do. Yeah,
that's pretty good to hear. And you'll be able to elaborate more on the music in a little bit here too. But Simon, I want to welcome you to my podcast right here. And I have to admit, I've been interviewing a lot of people out of the UK, so we're slowly taking it over. Before you know it, you'll be calling me King Gribbs here pretty soon. So that's all good. But it's good. It's good to have you on here, mate. So. The way it's going to work is just going to ask you some questions, and then we get to know you more both as the individual, but also as the musician as well. So,
yeah,
you ready, mate?
Yeah, all good.
All right. So, I'll start with the first one right here. Let's get to know your backstory a little bit more. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Simon Williams, and how did he become a musician?
Well, I started playing an instrument. I was thinking about this actually recently. I started playing an instrument when my mum got me like recorder lessons, and that was when I was about 8 or 9, and then it was a bit of a break. But I didn't really do much music. And I had an uncle who wasn't actually very mentally well, but he happened to gift me a guitar when I was about 14, 15. And I've kind of played ever since, really. And that was my starting point. And I can tell you the guitar, it was a terrible guitar. It was awful. It was a 12-string guitar. And I'm left-handed, and so I had to adjust a few things in it. It was really difficult to play. So it's surprising I managed to keep it up. Really, I suppose.
You know, I don't hear too much about 12-string guitars anymore. I know they always do like those big multi ones you see with like the big fretboards and everything too, and they just have to like tap it like this and that.
I mean, they are wicked. The wicked guitars, but to start off on one, I mean, they'll go wide necks. The action's terrible on them. And, it clearly hurts your fingers. I actually don't know what happened to that guitar. And I'm sad that I don't know what happened to that guitar. So I'm from Liverpool, UK. So I grew up with a lot of music around me. Beatles, obviously. I mean, you can't come from Liverpool and not have some contact with the Beatles and stuff. So they're a big influence on over everything, really. But I think they're quite influential, regardless of what style of music you play these days. I mean, a lot of stuff comes from the Beatles. So I was exposed to a lot of music. I was taken to a lot of festivals and things when I was younger. So it was always there, the music, you know. And as I grew into a teen, and I was trying to find whatever my own tribe was or my own identity, music played a key part of that. And actually, the first bit of vinyl I ever bought was AC/DC, because I started off with a lot of rock music, and it was Highway to Hell, which was, I'm still got the record now. I still quite like the record as it happens. So I kind of started playing in rock bands and things like that when I was younger, in and around Liverpool. I mean, nothing that I ever really went anywhere, because obviously bands are always very precarious, and you know, one minute there's a band, the next minute there's not bands. You know, it's just one of them things, isn't it? It's the way music bands work, really.
The band is here, then gone tomorrow. This is
It's always there's always something going on. You know, there's rivalry, or there's you know prima donnas or whatever. And you don't think about it so much. And in some ways, I think I probably regret not doing a bit more music when I was younger. But yeah, I suppose you're trying to sort of find your way in life, really. And I did music at university, amongst other things. But then ended up teaching for a long time, and there was a bit of a lull in music really. I mean, I did do some music, but it wasn't to the amount of music I do now. And there was a few changes in my life, and I decided that music was really the path that I wanted to go down. And currently, most of my work is related to music, or I'm making music for myself. So I do a lot of music teaching. I'm in and out of schools. I'm also currently doing a master's in music therapy as well. So everything in my life is sort of like centered around doing music or teaching it or creating music with people, or that's where I'm at really. I think recently there's been a few bands recently. I was in a band for quite a while playing reggae and ska, and that was the first time I sort of got a grip of that sort of style. And we were quite a busy band. I mean, I've since left the band, just different paths needed to be taken. But I admit, in amongst the band, I started writing some songs for the band as it happened. Now, it turned out that they probably weren't the best songs for the band in the end. It was a big band, it was, 7, sometimes 8 of us, 3 bits of brass and this, that, and the other. But what I realised is that I really liked writing music, and I think over the last two years probably, I've only really properly started singing since that point. I mean, I've always written music, but never with singing and vocals and things like that. And once I realised I could sing a little bit, and then I could do some harmonies, I was like, well, this is actually quite a lot of fun, and very rewarding in a sense. Rewarding in that, I don't know, creating music and chasing the next song. I mean, you get a real buzz off it. It's an incredible feeling to create something out of nothing. It's an amazing feeling. And I know a lot of other artists feel that sort of way with it, chasing the next song. Whatever your last song you've written is your best song, and you know that it's never gonna end. The songwriting process, assuming work doesn't get in the way, or life doesn't get in the way.
Yeah, no, Joey too. It's almost like a never-ending story or something like that.
Yeah.
And not to get off topic, did you grow up in Scotland, or is Liverpool real close to Scottish?
No, I grew up in Liverpool. Actually, my mom's Scottish, but I grew up in Liverpool. I always lived there till about the age of about 18, 19. And then I moved around England, doing various different things, sometimes uni, sometimes teaching. So, yeah, I've lived around England for a while. But it wasn't, as I said, it wasn't really, I always liked sort of reggae and ska, but it wasn't really a style I really took to like a lot later on. And I think it started off, I was thinking about this the other day as well. There's a band called Easy Star All Stars, and they do covers of classic albums, like they've done their Dark Side of the Moon, a few others to boot as well. It's really cool, and it really took me as, well, that's a really cool thing to do. That's wicked, and I think I really like that sound, and it's just built up on there. And I think it was going to festivals and things. So it's quite often you get, even if it's not a reggae band, you get a festival band, and the emphasis is generally on that offbeat, particularly in the guitar. There's something about playing that on that offbeat, particularly in festivals. I don't know what it is. I think it just makes you want to move or dance or get interested in it, something like that. So I think it just grew from there. So when I eventually did join the reggae and ska band, it was like, well, actually, I quite like making this kind of music. This is the music style sort of for me, if you like. Although I have to say, I'm not, because I come from such a rock background, it does have quite a lot of influence over me. I mean, I can't really get away from that really. But then, as most people's styles, it's kind of a mixed up genre, and you feel like you've got to be stuck into a box. But in fact, most people are skate the edges of all different kinds of styles.
I see what you mean. Actually, it was always funny because I don't know if this is like what some people go through too, but I know for me in particular, it was always bands for like this particular genre or nothing at all. Whenever I wanted to like listen to music, whether it was like long car rides or just listening to general on my computer when I was just had some free time, just wanted to relax. So I know what you mean there. Then like when you try to listen to like a different genre, whether it be like the R&B or in your case reggae, it doesn't pick up immediately until like you listen to it a good bit, or maybe you see like a live show, for instance. Because there actually was a reggae band that came to a venue that was real close to where I live, and I figured, we'll go check it out. And I actually ended up enjoying seeing that reggae band perform as well. And I groove and everything too, but I tend to laugh because I think it's a little bit different than what they put on a CD, for instance. It's not as, what's the word? I was trying to think of something like, gets the power going or something like that when you see it live, for instance, too.
Yeah.
Something like that too. So, but I guess all these genres that we've been talking about here, I guess, is this what influenced the whole Redial Destination? Looking at get into the band.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just, at some stage, I was just only playing guitar, and I was interested in playing like jazz stuff as well. And that sort of creeps in, but not too much, but certainly in some of the guitar melodies, and also harken back to some of that surf rock stuff, which I really like, in that old rock and roll style. It's really cool. And I think I've noticed some similarities in different genres that maybe I wouldn't have picked up when I was younger, because you do get caught into being, as you said, you listen to one style of music, that's what you listen to. And I think as you get older, you can see how some styles have got similarities and how they might interact more with you. I think it's probably just being a bit more grown up and listening to music and stuff. I wish I'd have listened to more styles when I was younger, if I'm being honest. But I mean, you're trying to forge your own way and work out who you are in the world, and that's a way to tag on to. Because it's brilliant to like rock, but there's also so many other good music out there as well. In all styles. I don't think there's a style I particularly dislike. Not these days, anyway. There's good examples of music in whatever people do, which is wicked.
Yeah, some groups tend to like mesh like a whole bunch of genres together. That's what they want to call it too. So I want to say it's more like the progressive sort of style of music as well too, because they're like infusing so much into their music as well. Maybe more so progressive metal, because I think that's how they normally do it too. But regardless too, I digress on that. But I guess go ahead and talk about the band a little bit more. So I guess where'd you get the name Redial Destination, and I guess had it all for?
I went through a bit of a tough time in my life, and it kind of all come from that really. I wanted to think of a sort of a name which described change in direction in your life, but I didn't want it to be sounding like overly religious, because I'm not particularly religious. I'm not against religion. It's just my choice that. And so it was just this idea that you've come to a point in your life and you've got a choice, and you get your sat nav out and you redial it and you go off to a different destination. Really, it's finding a new path where you've got a little bit more control, or maybe it's happier or something like that. So that was the idea right behind the name, really. Just that idea that at any point, even when it's terrible, you can reset and you can go on a new path, a better path for yourself.
All right. And I guess if you want to talk a little bit more about the band in general too, because it just started off with you, right? Did you just kind of go to the studio and just do this and that, or I guess what'd you all do?
Well, yeah. It's kind of like whatever lay me computer, the studio. Generally, it's been in the living room at home. But sometimes I remember I was working in a school. It was a really sunny day, and there's a song on the album called Press J. A song on the album called Press J, and I'd had this idea of having a sort of a choir of me singing a line on a loop. And so I was sat outside the front of the school. I was thinking, well, we'll just have a crack at it now. And actually we didn't have any equipment with me other than my computer. So it literally just started recording my voice outside the school on this little bit of green. I must have looked absolutely insane. I was just sitting there singing all these harmonies with a set of headphones outside the school. I know a few people walked past. I think you can hear, you might be able to hear, if you listen really carefully in the background, some kids in playtime. I'm not sure, but it's whatever I get comfortable really. But but there's no specific space. I used to have a room, but I no longer have that room, so it's just kind of like. And there's something about that for me. That idea that actually you can just create music anywhere where you are, and there's something, I don't know, that it makes me feel sort of alive, where you don't have to be in a specific space to do it, because sometimes you get, or I find I get some inspiration, some ideas there and then, and I'm like, I've got to do this now. I've got to write this down, or I've got to do this now. So. That's one of the features of the way I write. I'll be sitting there and I'll get an idea, and the next thing I'm scribbling in my phone, and I've got notes of different kind of lyrics, and some of them haven't gone anywhere, but at that moment that was really important, and I just write them down in them, because I know the next day they're probably going to forget them. Which is, I just like that spirit of the moment, kind of like it's coming now. I mean, there has been other times where I've gone, right, I've got a day. Today, I'm not going to see anybody, so I'm just going to see what happens and make some music. And they're cool as well. But it's just wherever I can put my stuff. I'd love to have a room, in all honesty, but there's something quite joyous about the fact that you can just start doing something, whatever you are, and you can seize that moment and do something with it. It's fun. It's a good feeling, I think.
Yeah, inspiration comes in some funny ways at times too, especially when it's quite by accident, when you don't realize you hit record, and then it's like, oh shit, I got that whole thing when I was recording too. So that's pretty cool. And actually, hopefully your neighbors didn't think you were weird singing those melodies.
Well, he probably do, but I probably don't care, so that's all right.
I mean, hey, your neighbors might stay away from you then. That gives you some nice privacy too, so that's probably good.
Well, I just feel sorry for anyone who's partners with a musician, because they're like, they leave stuff everywhere. They got loads of gear. That times they're noisy, they're repetitive. If I've been working on a song, I might be singing something over and over and over and over and over again, and then playing it and going back to it, listening and playing it, and you think, poor people. I think they need some kind of medal to put up with them, especially if people are recording and keep playing the same songs over and over again. He must be like, I wish he'd stop doing that now.
It's always like, please, for the love of God, make this guy stop. So.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, exactly.
That's all good, though. But actually, do you have your own little studio now, or do you kind of go to a different studio somewhere in Liverpool?
Yeah, well, I don't actually live in Liverpool anymore. I live in Cornwall. And
okay.
Cornwall is it's like a holiday destination. It's very rural, and it's probably one of the warmer parts of the UK. So compared to Liverpool, it's a lovely place to live, and there's nothing wrong with Liverpool. Liverpool's a great city, but when you're surrounded by countryside, and it takes like 5 minutes to get to the beach, I mean, it's just fantastic. I suppose my space really is by the coast. It's just a place I can go to, and that's helps suit me mind, sometimes give me ideas, but it's a place I retreat to a lot. I think a lot of people do. I mean, I think if it had been in Liverpool, in a big city, and it would have been a different album, I think. I don't know how it would be different, but it would definitely be different. Yeah, there's a lot more space down there, and the air's cleaner, and you can get down to the beach, and you can be close to nature, and I think that's really useful. Well, it is for someone like me, anyway. That's for sure.
Almost sounds like you're getting in touch with your inner hippie, as I think the States might say.
What it is, yeah. Basically, yeah. I mean, if I speak to some of my friends from Liverpool, do you think you've hit the jackpot by living in Cornwall? That's the yeah. It's not like a holiday when you live there and you work there all the time, because it's different, isn't it? Because there's some downsides to Cornwall. Like in the winter, like nothing's open. It's a bit cold, and it's a little tiny bit cold, but mostly wet. There's not much to do, But in the city, there's always stuff going on. It's not quite the same in Cornwall. But you'll take the rough with the smooth. I'd rather have the beaches and things like that.
Yeah, I feel a nice wind blowing through the face and everything too. So I can see what you mean too. Actually, the term hippie, I don't know. Do they use it in the UK as well? Because I always thought that was just mainly a state term.
No, we get used it. Yeah, we get used in the southwest where I live now. There's There's a few places which are heavily populated by what you might call, I don't want to be using offensive words, but hippie types,
Yeah, like the John Lennon sort of types going out there. So,
that's it, yeah.
I guess speaking of which, John Lennon and all those other musicians as well, I guess, would you say those are people who influenced you?
Yeah, I mean, I have to go right back to Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles, and some of the two-tone stuff, which evolved in the UK, in England, which was a right mixture of black culture and white culture. Things like the Specials. I mean, they were amazing. I mean, that's probably one of my all-time favorite songs is Ghost Town. Wicked it is. It's difficult to choose an all-time favorite song, but it's just that sort of melting pot of English culture mixing with the sort of Jamaican culture. It's just amazing, and the music that come out of it was brilliant. Very sort of unique and very English, and it's all coming from that. Really, that's where the big influence is here. I mean, the other thing I was thinking about with my music as well is quite a lot of things from classical music in there. So there's riffs I've used, and there's some chord progressions I've used because I've taken some inspiration from them, I suppose. I don't know. I don't really know how that come about, but occasionally I'll hear something, and I'll be like, "Well, that's really cool. Maybe we could do something with that one." And I mean, as long as it's in public domain, you can do stuff with it. So I've still got some stuff that I've never quite finished off, which I'd like to finish off at some point. But yeah, that's in there too. That's in there too. Little riffs of things like that in this. I think I've got a bit of Bach in some of it, and yeah, there's a few bits and bobs in there. So yeah, so it's all a rich mixture because it's interesting to be inspired by different bits of music.
Yeah, that's for sure too. I know you're talking about the classical music. Is it mainly like your traditional sort of composers like Beethoven, Vivaldi, Bach, and all those guys?
Yeah, there's some of that there. There was a going back to Press J. There's a guitar riff for that one, and that comes from a light opera. The name's escaping me right now, but it's just, I mean, there's some really cool stuff written, and that's what musicians have been doing for like hundreds and hundreds of years, isn't it? Just need to listen to something like, we're going to do something like that, going to do something with that and change it and make it interesting. Which is why I kind of wanted to get in there, do the Breaking the Law cover, because I really like that song, and that there's bits of that, and I was thinking I'm sure that would make a wicked tune. So taking something out of genre and doing something with it, it's quite an interesting sort of musical exercise, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and sometimes it's terrible, but sometimes you're like, that's really cool. Yeah, which is why I did the Breaking the Law one. I've got loads of ideas for rock ones. So whether I'll ever do them, I might do some live, but maybe not publish them, because you've got to get a license to get them to do a cover. It gets a bit complicated, but yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, I did listen to that one last night. I think like, oh, this guy must really love Judas Priest. So
no, the funny thing is, I don't actually really love Judas Priest. I really like that song, and it was very reminiscent, because I remember sitting in a friend's house in Liverpool, and it just reminds me, it takes me right back to that room, and we're sitting in the room, and it's Beavis and Butthead, going ho, ho, ho. And it's Judas Priest coming on, and them laughing at Judas Priest and stuff, and it just took me right back there. So it was kind of like a fond memory, like a reminisce of that particular song and that particular time of my life. Yeah, it takes me right back there. Now I remember sitting in his room. We'd all be sat there, sat around. We'd have Beavis and Butthead, and he had Sky for some reason. He had Sky in his bedroom. I don't know if you get that in America, but that was the TV show that had MTV on it. It was a channel that had MTV, so he was like, he was popular to go around and see and stuff. It was wicked, yeah.
I do know about Beavis and Butthead, and actually they've done it for a couple of bands. There was Guar, and then they also, I guess in a way, helped Morbid Angel out, which are state bands, and a little bit more heavier than like Judas Priest or anything like that. But I think they actually did do a lot from like MTV to help promote like those music videos, for instance. So
no, they did. They did. It was funny, and it was actually quite a good show because if you like rock, I mean at the time that's what I listened to. You got the whole range of rock rather than just one. So it was quite interesting to watch, and silly as well. You know, when I was about that age, it was like, you know, it was funny, and it probably wouldn't pass now, would it? It probably wouldn't get past because they were quite rude sometimes. Different times, I suppose.
Yeah, we were a bit more lenient back in the day too, because if you were to look at our cartoons that we used to watch on like Nickelodeon, for instance, you'd be like, how the hell did they allow that stuff to get on kids' show? To be honest, too. A perfect example of that was Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, I love them. They are so cool.
It is.
Regularly, it was quite disturbing, wasn't it?
It was something like that, yeah. And like insomnia, he was like having a load of problems, but he was like, it was like a reflection of the adult self that just wants to scream at the world, to be honest. So yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I think I've seen one where Ren ripped Stimpy's spine out. Just thinking, he just wouldn't get that out, would you? He just ripped the spine out. It's just like, and it's just like, brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
Definitely not a kid show, yeah.
That I remembered, Stimpy had always getting the fan mail, and Ren was going mad, and he made him president of his fan club, and he basically goes insane until he gets one letter off through the post, and he doesn't realise it, but it's from Stimpy, and he's rubbing it in his face, going, "Look, I've got the mail now," and then he opens it up and he realises it's Stimpy, but it's quite dark and bits, you know, it's like. He's standing over him, wanting to strangle him and kill him. Yeah, you don't really get that now, do you?
It's like, you idiot.
Yeah, that's what he was like. Yeah.
Like there was one. Actually, it was a different one. I think it was Ren's cousin who turned out to be like just as stupid as like Stimpy is. So pretty much Stimpy and Ren's cousin happened to be like two peas on a pod, for instance. And one of the game is don't pee on the electric fence or something like that. And sure enough, Ren ends up doing it too. They end up going to hell. The devil's like, "So you peed on the electric fence, didn't you?" Or something like that. So it was a little bit funny too, but the show was pretty dark too, yeah.
Yeah, dark, yeah, pretty dark.
But I know you mentioned about Jimi Hendrix too. I know you say you're left-handed. Do you do it similar to how Jimi Hendrix does, where the high E is like at the top there, or is it like your standard guitar?
No. I only play left-handed guitar, which is annoying in some respects because it limits the guitars you can buy. You can get a lot more guitar for your money if you're not left-handed. I often wonder whether or not I should have just learned right-handed, but you know, it is what it is now. The only thing is if you're playing with a big band, which I do now and again on stage, you know, you're generally the opposite side, so it looks quite neat on stage, I suppose. But if you don't get it right, you end up poking somebody's eye out. So it's one of them things. Yeah. I don't know if Jimi Hendrix did that, to be honest. I can't fathom it because he was some player he was. Yeah.
Somehow I'm picturing you playing Voodoo Child, to be honest, too. Would that be on your list?
To play Voodoo Child?
It was a Jimi Hendrix song, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I could do a Jimi Hendrix song. It's like... I think sometimes there's some songs I just think like I ain't gonna touch them because I just can't. It's just too classic for me. And I guess that would be different for different people, wouldn't it? So we'll be like that is a song that I ain't gonna mess with. Just not gonna mess with. Yeah. I'd have to think about that one. I don't know. Maybe you could do something all along the Watchtower, but he didn't like that one. So maybe you could do something with that one. Maybe.
Hey, I'll leave it up to you, mate. But good luck to you. I would say I always dug the Scots whenever they throw in me instead of like my family or something like that, to be like, or my mom, or it says like me mom or something like that too. So I always dug your Scottish accents, to be honest too.
Yeah.
So it's always good to have you guys on. So I guess talk about the music, and I guess let's go ahead and dive into this a little bit too. So given all the interviews I've done with people out of the UK too, everyone's seemed to vary somewhat in terms of COVID, for instance. So I guess. Yeah. How bad did COVID impact you?
The first half was absolutely shocking. I was a freelance community musician, and I lost my work overnight. It was dreadful, awful it was, and I had to. I ended up going back into proper teaching, which was terrible for me. And I was in a band at the time, and that wasn't able to do anything. Obviously, that was out the window, and that was just getting going. So it had a massive impact on me. Creatively speaking, I did do some composing, but it wasn't. These were pre sort of reggae times, if you like. So it was just me and the guitar really. But the second half improved, I think, for me. But it wasn't great for music because you couldn't really get anything going. There was nothing to be done really. You could write stuff by yourself, but it's no good being online because I tried a little bit of music online with people, but the live was awful. So it was terrible, and it took a few years after, took a year or two after for music work for me to pick up again. In all honesty, I ended up working in a college for a bit, and that was a terrible job for me. I took it because they offered it me, and it was terrible. One of the worst decisions I ever made. But what I will say is, although it was a bad decision, I realised I definitely didn't want to go and do that job anymore. So that's a good thing that comes from it. But it's improved now, and I think we've still got in this country, or certainly in Cornwall, we've still got the hangover in the pubs and the clubs and stuff in terms of payment for bands. It's still an issue, particularly down there, because they're still struggling. I don't think they've managed to pull themselves up yet. So it's still a tight squeeze for pubs and clubs and things like that. And if you're a sort of local musician down here, you're not getting paid top dollar. Now, I've got some friends who perform in bigger places, and I think it's a little bit better there for them. But where we are rural down there, the pubs are struggling still a little bit. So, musicians are finding it difficult to demand really a good wage, I would say, from it. So it's still people being creative, trying to earn money by making music. But it seems to be improving. So maybe a year or two more, it'll get better. I know a lot of the pubs are only employing, like, say, bands who are like duos or solos, just because it's cheaper. And so that's what's happened to a lot of the venues. And of course, people are feeling the squeeze here as well. And it's still an hangover from COVID. Generally speaking, people are going out less, and they will go out to see a band, but they'll come like towards the end of the evening, or it's still a thing. Certainly in Cornwall. I don't know about in other counties in England, in the UK, in England, but it's certainly like that in Cornwall. Hopefully, things will get better over time, and people will get more on a level pegging, really. But you've got to try, and
to be honest, for me, when it first started too, it almost felt like it was like the zombie apocalypse sort of thing that was going to happen. That contagion that comes around, everybody mutates into a zombie afterwards. So maybe in a different way now, considering these days, but maybe more of a mental thing, if we want to call it that too. But I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I guess
there's definitely been a change of attitude with people, because it's definitely changed people's going out habits, I would say. And because I remember pre-COVID times, but lots of people go to the pub and people were going out regularly and stuff. But after COVID, that just stopped. It's just people aren't going out as regular as they were. And I think it's a combination of habits and a combination of cost. I know down here, if there is entertainment put on, people will come out and see it. So that's something. So people will still come out for that, but people are still feeling the pinch, and I think people are. I think there's a hangover from it all. I mean, I'm guessing it's like that in other countries as well, but that's what it feels like down here.
I say it depends on which state in my neck of the woods where you go. So maybe some people you tend to feel it. Maybe other people still get a little bit angry over it or something like that too. So
yes,
I don't know. Don't get into the conspiracy theories too. That's a whole nother ball game, everybody. So. That's all good. Did you say what subject you taught as a teacher, but also as I know you also talked about the university as well. Was it strictly music, or did you do like a different subject?
I did a mixed degree when I was in university to do my degree, and then I taught art and music, a little bit of dance as well, for many years, and a lot of special needs as well. So it was kind of mixed roles. But then I changed it because it was no longer viable for me to carry on doing that kind of work. I think you come to decisions sometime in your life and you think, well, this work isn't for me anymore for various different reasons. And then I became a community musician, and that's, in all honesty, I should have always been a community musician. That's what my job should have been to start off with. But it took me a while to get to that point, I suppose. I mean, it's a bit more difficult to earn a living, anything to do with music. It's you never know when you're going to get paid, or you never know what's going to happen in the next month in terms of work coming in and work coming out. It's stable at the moment. And that's why the COVID times were so particularly difficult, because everybody shut down. When I was self-employed and freelance, I didn't even have an institution to help me stay afloat. So it was terrible. But yeah, I've been doing just music now for over 10 years now in Cornwall, in and around the place, doing this, that, and the other. I usually work with colourful kids, so the kids that people don't want to work with, they're the kids I usually work with. And that's led me to go into music therapy, and about halfway through the course. It's slightly different in America. I think you do a degree in music therapy, but over here you do a master's qualification, which is a level above a degree. So it's quite intense, but it's wicked, really good, and kind of helps as a musician as well. Yeah, it's really good.
I'm sure they do have something similar to the States. Of course, obviously, we always want to change the words around, so because we don't want to mimic you British guys. So I see what you mean. So, but did you have any pressures with COVID, or were you pretty good?
I spent the whole 2.5 years of the various lockdowns we had in the UK. I didn't catch it once, and then a long time after, when it was officially not a problem anymore, I caught COVID. That's when I caught COVID. So, and the first brush with COVID was awful, honestly terrible. And I've had it since, but it's not been too bad. Yeah. But no, nothing, not really. Yeah, I missed 7 days of work or something like that, but I did feel bad. But nowadays, it's not really a problem unless you work with old people. Then it's still a risk for old people. So I'm on placements in a hospital ward with old people. So if I get COVID, I'll have to stay clear, if you see what I mean, because it can be dangerous then. But everyone else seems all right, doesn't it?
Well, at least we would hope so. I mean, I know I got it too when I think it was when it was like starting to like wind down a little bit here in the States. And sure enough, me and my parents, we go to Nashville, which is actually a country music hall of fame and everything too, where also the birthplace of country music is.
Yeah.
And what do you know, we get it when we're bar hopping on Broadway. So it stinks. Yeah. And actually, that was the first time I got it too. So I'm thinking to myself, I almost went 3 years without getting COVID at all.
Yeah.
And what do you know, when I'm out having fun, this is what happens. So
I know.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
Or something like that too. So, but it is good to see you made it through. So it's good to have you along for the ride here, Simon. I guess let's go up into the gear a little bit too. So I've been seeing your guitar back there, and it looks similar to the guitar that I've actually interviewed one guy out of the Pittsburgh region where I'm from.
Yeah.
And his name's Jimmy Adler. He's been around for a good while. It looks similar. Right. So you want to show us your guitar there?
This is my good guitar. This is my recording guitar. That's my Gretsch. So that's me. I don't always use that live for various different reasons, but actually it records really, really well. But yeah, that's me. That's me best guitar, if you like, if you can have a best guitar. I've got a few guitars. The other one I used was just tucked up. This is not an expensive guitar. It's a Dan Electro, and that is it's got a particular sound. If you don't like the sound, you won't like the guitar. But I like it. It's cool. It wasn't particularly expensive, but I just like the sound really. I mean, studio wise, I use a Mac. I think most people do. I use Logic. and then various things to go with that. I've used sometimes use an SM57 for recording instruments. I've got a condenser mic. It's a P120. I can't remember the name of it, on KG something. It'll come to me in a minute. Well, recently I bought a beta, Shure beta, which was good. So I've been recently experimenting with that one. That one was a lot more expensive than the other mics. But it's all about trying to get value for money, because like you could go on forever. It's a rabbit warren. Whatever you buy, it's a rabbit warren. You want to buy a guitar, you could go on forever. And the same goes apparently for mics as well. They go up and up and up and up and up. And you're only going to get a certain amount of quality if you're not in a proper studio. Then there's no good spending like £5 million on a microphone. It's probably not going to be the best thing. In terms of audio interface, you use a Scarlett Focusrite one. I use them. They're pretty cool. Yeah, I like them.
Is it the real small one, that 2i2?
Yeah, that's him. Because just like the portability of the thing, and you can just set it up anywhere. So if I'm at work and I want to lay something down fast, I just grab some gears together and we can get it going. And sometimes that's the thing that makes the track, and sometimes it doesn't. But either way, there's more of a chance of making it if you've got the gear right there in front of you, and it's not complicated to do. I mean, I'm a big fan of Logic Pro. I just think it's a wicked program. It's just amazing. And they've recently got a really good update where you've got some AI help with the master, and we said, well, that seems pretty good actually. I've not used it much, but it seems pretty good. Yeah, that's another thing, isn't it? When you're recording your music, at some point you've got to say, I've finished it, I've done it, I've completed it, because you could just sit there twiddling it for months and months after, and that's really hard. I'm not sure of quite. And it's still, when I'm listening to stuff now, I'm thinking, you could have done that a little bit better. But it's all good, really. Yeah. I don't know how people do it on Windows machines, because my experience of Windows machines is that they just crash. But maybe they're better than they used to be. I don't know.
At least one would hope so, because I know actually a couple people I've interviewed, they've done their music on Macs as well as these interviews as well. So, but I roll with Logic as well, and I also use a Scarlett, but mine's the 18920, which is, I think they might have had the Thunderbolt, or I forget what the highest one was. It was like a real big box, for instance. But this one's like the next level down. It was still a good penny to buy this guy, but it was definitely worth the money. He's been good to me ever since. So
that's it. I mean, you've got to. I mean, sometimes people get a bit hooked up on what gear they use and this, that, and the other. But in the end, you try and get the best gear you can afford, and then it's down to you to do something interesting with it. I mean, when people first started making music, they were just using stuff that you found lying around to make music, and then I think you should stick with that idea. Is you just do the best that you can with what you've got, and not get too caught up in people having this really cool gear, or you've got your gear. Do something good with it, because nowadays recording is way more accessible to when I was younger. I mean, I used to have one of them 4-track cassettes, and that was the technology that people could afford. If you were really good, you managed to have an 8-track of them, and you stick your little cassette in, with a metal bias tape in it. It's dreadful. It's like really hissy, and I mean, so nowadays you're pretty spoilt, really, and gear's a lot cheaper. So go be creative with the gear that you've got. I think is the message, really.
It was because back then you had to actually go to a studio, and you had to have a good amount of money just to go in there and just do it for however long it was. I mean, you couldn't dilly-dally, dawdle, or do anything like that. I mean, you had to be absolutely focused. Nowadays, you can kind of take your time with your own little studio and be like, okay, let's try doing it at my pace. Maybe let's not get lazy, but let's at least try to work through this and make sure we do it right. So I'd say that's a big thing too. But I guess, would that be some of the advice you would give to people in our indie community on band together?
Absolutely. I mean, just just have a go, and excuse me, have a go, and you learn stuff from it. It doesn't necessarily matter that you're not going to get some kind of studio quality. I mean, you've got to try your best to get the best quality you can, but even you can get good quality without being in the studio. That's good enough to get out there. I mean, if you want to, you can always go to a studio. But I think there's something to be said for having a go doing it yourself and learning from it and enjoying that thing. And then when you finish creating it, it's something you can be proud of, and sort of be yourself as well. Make the music that you want to. Don't try and follow a trend, or if you want to do some weird subgenre of punk that involves synth and wearing cowboy hats, do it. You know what I mean? It's just, it doesn't matter. You got to make music that's for you, that comes from you, and that's the most important part of making music. If nobody likes it, it might be disappointing, but stick with it. Stick with it, because that's what music is about. It's for me, it's about communicating what's in you. And if you're just going to try and copy somebody's pop style, or trying to jump on a trend or something, then I don't see how that's going to be sort of fulfilling for you. I'd be yourself, I suppose, and then you'll communicate something interesting. Bring something into the world that you think's interesting and is good.
I'd say it's okay to be weird. You can do it like that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Some of the best artists in the world, when they first come out, people were like, "What's that?" That's just one of them things, isn't it? And then there's other people who sort of jump on bandwagons and this and bandwagons and that, and I just think, just be yourself. Do something interesting. So even not everyone's going to like it, not everyone's going to find it interesting, but that's all right. Everyone's different. Everyone's got a different taste, but do it for yourself. That's what you should be doing.
Absolutely. And I guess speaking of weird too, I know that's probably how people were when Ozzy and Black Sabbath initially came out as well. So, and actually, speaking of which, how far are you from Birmingham?
From Birmingham, I think it might be about 4.5 hours. Yeah, but I used to live there. Nice place. Interesting.
Well, that's where he's doing his final concert.
That's right. Yeah. No, I've seen that. I love Black Sabbath. They're wicked. They are. Yeah.
I think he's doing it under his name. I don't think he's doing it as a Black Sabbath. But it would be interesting if he does like 2 concerts, one with Black Sabbath, and then one under his band name, Ozzy Osbourne. So
yeah.
But it's the legit final farewell, or at least we hope it's the legit final farewell. It seems like some of these classic rock guys can't really seem to hang up the hat or their instrument for good. So
I think this might be his final farewell, to be fair. Yeah.
I think he can't even move around, to be honest. So I think that's why.
It's amazing that he's still able to keep going, really. Yeah, amazing, really. Yeah.
It's even amazing he's still alive.
I know. I seen Black Sabbath in Liverpool many years ago. Ozzy Osbourne wasn't in them, but I think Tony Iommi was. That was right. But I've got a very good recollection of it. No, I don't know if I can't remember if they were any good. They were probably past the best by that point. Yeah. But I don't know, like a bit of Black Sabbath.
Yeah, they always kick some ass. It had to have been Ronnie James Dio afterwards. Otherwise, I don't know. Ian Gillan did it a little bit. And I forget who else. I just know it was those 3. I didn't know those 3, to be honest. I know Ozzy did it for a good while, and then Ronnie James Dio came in and filled in his shoes.
That's right, yeah.
And Ian Gillan was for a little bit too. So I don't know what year it was, so you have to fill me in on that, but we're digging back into your memory. So.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Oh, well. But anyway, get back into the music-wise, I guess. Tell us like how you create your song, for instance. Do you normally start with the lyrics, or do you make the music first and then put lyrics over top?
Usually I come up with like a riff or a scale. Sometimes I found some interesting scales, and then it's all kind of spanned out from there. So there's a song on there, Dead Man Walking, and that uses a particular sort of gypsy scale, which I liked the sound of, and I come up with the riff. And it's not a particularly complicated song, in all honesty. There's only about 4 chords in it, but they're an interesting bunch of chords to be played together. So that's what usually happens. And once you hear the riff, then usually I get some kind of lyrical idea, and it's usually the first line that I write, then spurs everything else on after that. That's what generally happens. Yeah, I think most of my songs like that. There's been a few where I've heard a classical riff and I've gone, well, we'll do something with that, and then from that you get a feeling or a theme, I suppose, that you want to pursue, and it just comes like for me, it comes now. You get the idea, and it's like, quick, write it down, and then even if it's a load of old garbage or nonsense, then I can sort through it and make it fit what I think it's going to be. And once I've got the bare bones of a riff, some lyrics and chords, then we can start messing around with the structure of it. And quite often, I'll try and throw something in that's a little that I wouldn't expect to go, and I let it kind of develop. I suppose I let it grow by itself. So we had some bits in that I didn't think they were going to ever be in that particular song. It just happens that that's the way it develops. I quite like that organic sort of feel where you don't quite know exactly how it's going to end up until you finish. And in fact, I often think when I've written a song that if I'd written it on a different day, it wouldn't be the same. It would be totally different. Whatever reason, just depending on how you feel. But once you're on a road and you've got the momentum going, you can feel it coming, you can feel it going somewhere. Yeah, that's the way I go about writing songs.
Yeah, that's usually me too.
I quite often get, like, it's really annoying. I quite often get lyrics in the car. I'll be driving, and then there'll be a thing that'll pop into my head. And that's really annoying because I've got to kind of, and quite often I've been driving along and I've got a lyric idea and a tune, and I've had to like throw my iPhone on and try and record some notes while I'm driving. And I'm aware it's probably not the best thing to do in the world, but still, I'm like that. Right, quick, record that now, and you can go back to it, and then a little bit later and got it. Yeah. I seem to be like that with everything, really. Like, do it now.
It's like pen, paper.
Yeah, right. That's it. Yeah, it's coming now, quick. It's plays out now, otherwise you're gonna forget it. You know what I mean?
Or he's making a break in the law while it's playing, and he runs to the red light right ahead. He's like, it's yellow, floored. So.
I know. There's been a few times I've been driving and think, like, look at the road and all that. But that's why I generally record it. So I've got like loads of these recordings on my phone, which are a little sketchy and grainy because it's through my car with a press record. But it's whatever works for you. And then some people are a bit separate. I don't know what people write, but some people seem to do things separately. Yeah, everyone's got a job and stuff. But that's a quite nice thing about doing it by yourself is. It's just you've got freedom to do exactly what you want. However, there's some trappings in that too. Yeah, but for me at the moment, writing like it's a wicked way to do. Although I would like to do collaboration in the next year. That's one of my things I'd like to do. I really enjoy just being in control of everything, but now I would like to work with somebody. So maybe a collaboration on the cards in the new year.
So you got plenty of people to choose from in our band together group to community as well. So I
know. Well, I've messaged someone who may be interested, but I've been a little bit busy, and I've kind of got an idea that we could do something. So, but there is a few there, yeah, and there's people willing to do that, and I'm not really bothered about whose band name it would be under. Actually, that's not the point because you're never going to make any money anyway, are you? It's one of the trappings, isn't it? But it's more about that collaboration and just not having that control and seeing what happens and seeing where the road goes. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, something like that too. But it would at least help to cover the expenses and everything else. So it would be nice at some point. Which I'm not sure, like how expensive is gas over there in the UK?
It's up and down. It's not too bad at the moment, but the worst it was like £1.71. for a litre, and that was the worst it's been. But at the moment, it's about £1.37, so it's actually quite reasonable at the moment. So that's not too bad at all. It's a constant pain because all my work involves driving around Cornwall, and it's a big county, so you start groaning when the petrol goes up. But it's been all right recently, so let's hope it stays like that. Yeah,
you're telling me. So we'll see what happens. But getting to your lyrics too for each of your songs. I know you talked about Press J earlier, so I guess. For your lyrical content in some of your songs, I guess, what normally do you like to try to do? Do you try to talk about real life events, or do you try to make a little story with some sort of hidden message in it?
Most of the songs I've written are viewpoints from a particular time in my life, which wasn't a particularly nice time, and sometimes it's a different. I suppose it's telling a story from a slightly different angle. So quite a lot of them are also biographical. There's one on the end of the album called K-Walk, which is just really a moan about the government, really. But most of it is actually sort of semi-autobiographical, and it was quite a tricky time in my life, and it's one of them things. And I have thought about this. Is it a thing where you thank someone for giving you a hard time, or that give you all this creative energy, or would it be better not to have had that hard time at all? I don't know, but it is what it is, and it's provided a lot of creative zest, shall we say? Yes, so they're all sort of semi-autobiographical, but I don't know if that's the case for most songs that people write. I don't know, because it's come from you, isn't it? So if it is that way, all songs in that case must be semi-autobiographical. But these,
or somebody's not breaking the law. Let's hope not.
Yeah. I mean, breaking the law. I mean, that's just a bit of fun for me, because I think it's one of them songs, breaking the law. That's like, I don't know. It's like it's a cool song, but you smile at it. You don't think this is a really serious piece of work here. I don't know. There's something just fun about that song anyway, I think. Yeah, it just reminds me of his sound. But the rest, my stuff is all also biographical, just different viewpoints of things that have happened to me, and there'll still be things that will come from the same time in my life that I've not written about yet. But I think that's how people write, really. I think suddenly finding my voice and singing, and also being able to write came at an interesting time in my life when I was starting to work through a few things and work a few things out for myself, and being able to write it down and create that music was quite cathartic for me. It's quite a release, I suppose, and I know. I guess a lot of other people feel that way when they write stuff down, don't they? Or perform or write a poem or like that. What's interesting though is there's a couple of songs I've been played live. Dead Man Walking, we used to do that in the band that was in. It's really interesting to see what people's meanings get from a song which is nowhere near the meaning that you had to start off with. That's quite an interesting thing, and it suddenly somebody takes on its own meaning. It's not really about the meaning that you set it out to be when you first wrote it. It's quite an interesting thing, I think.
Yeah, I know what you mean too. Let's say, I think for me at least, I always thought it was based on how the music, the mood, and the atmosphere was all kind of forming together before I would write the lyrics, for instance.
Yeah,
I tend to be a little bit more, maybe a little bit on the fantasy side too, but maybe it's also meant to give a big message to humanity, for instance, because I've always read those sort of fantasy, epic fantasy sort of style books. Maybe not all Game of Thrones, for instance, but at least the first one, for instance.
Yeah.
I know the one I actually read was actually Malazan Book of the Fallen, which really seemed to influence me. And I think even when I was thinking like writing lyrics, I feel like that was where some of the inspiration came from.
Yeah.
So, strongly recommend the book series, but you are in for a tough read. I will tell you that much, folks. So.
I wish you had time to read books at the moment, because just this uni work you throw at me is like really, some of it's a bit like, God. Yeah.
I mean, some of these epic fantasy books, you're almost thinking they're like the size of a Bible at this point. So,
yeah.
So that's what you mean. Let's go ahead and jump into this one here. So I think I might have highlighted on this one a little bit too, but for this question here, I guess, what challenges have you faced being a musician?
I think the biggest challenge, and that's probably the biggest challenge for everybody, is yourself, really. I'm not one of them musicians who goes around saying, "Look how good I am," and quite the opposite. And I've been like that for many years. But the biggest challenge for me was accepting that you can go out and you can write music and you can sing, but it's not just saying that; it's accepting that you can do it on the inside as well. Yeah. I mean, there are some sort of other challenges, but the challenges of working with like the streaming services and things like that. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because when I was a kid, there's no way you can get your stuff out like you can get out your stuff now, and that's amazing that you can do that. You can re-speak to people. I'm speaking to you. I can connect with other artists all over the world. That is amazing. But obviously, the downside is there's also so much stuff being pumped out. And people wanting to have a fair share of everything. But I think on balance, I probably prefer the way things are now, because it's just amazing just to be able to connect with other people, even if it's not sort of your genre. I just think it's like an amazing thing. I mean, you're always going to get these big companies making it difficult for you, but also simultaneously, you're also going to get people who think of clever ways to work around it, so they can continue creating music, and in some cases people probably do to make a little bit of money. But I think your starting point really has to be not that I'm going to be a mega rock star and I'm going to make it. I think your starting point needs to be that you're creating music because you want to, and this is what you'd like to do, and you're fulfilling something for yourself rather than thinking I'm going to make loads of money from this and be a rock star. I think if your starting point is I want to be a rock star, that to me doesn't feel quite right. It doesn't sit well on me. So whilst you've got them sorts of challenges, and we're all going to moan about the 1,000 play thing with Spotify and things like that, it's just amazing that you can still get your music out there. Just amazing, And I think back to, when I was a kid, you had to get a demo and get some tapes and send them off, and how many times have people sent off demos to record labels, and you don't hear anything, nothing, and now you can get some feedback, albeit there's a lot of people doing it, but I think it's generally speaking better for it.
Yeah, I also got to make sure people don't get too selfish or think about so much about the numbers in general.
Yeah. I mean, we unfortunately we're all about X numbers for this, next numbers that, and you have to take a little bit of that on board. I think you still have to care a little bit about it, but it can't be the be all and end all. I think the most important bit is the fact that you're connecting. Music is about connections, and you're connecting with people. You're playing music to connect with people. And it's been around as long as humans have been around, and the reason why it's so inbuilt into us is it's part of your DNA, and that's the reason we should be doing it. If you happen to make some money and get some success of it, brilliant, absolutely fantastic. And anyone who does well, that's great, But it's about making connections, and them connections will make you feel better and make them feel better. Everyone's happy, and that's what we're all about, really.
Yeah, absolutely too. But I guess speaking of the band together group that we were discussing about earlier too, I guess when did you join?
I've not been there for that long. Probably just before Christmas, I think it was. Yeah.
Oh, so you're relatively new.
It's really good. Really good.
I guess how did you join? Did you just happen to stumble upon it one day, or did Christina invite you on?
I think I saw Christina. She put out quite a few posts, and I think I seen the group and I asked if I could join. But I think she did some helping with me along the way. Christina did. I think when it was like 300 followers, and all of a sudden, like, it was not 300 followers anymore. It was quite a lot more significant, a lot more. Yeah. She's great. She's great. She is. She really, that's what I'm talking about. Is them people who, this the music that's that glue that's holding everyone together. There's all kinds of different styles, and there's some quite heavy styles, which is not my kind of thing these days. But it doesn't matter. It's just that sort of glue, and the connection is the music, and that's what everyone was working towards, and that's amazing. You can't really beat that.
Yeah, absolutely too. Let's keep this group around for a good long while too afterwards. So
yeah,
let's keep it around. All right. So Simon, we breezed through questions here pretty good, and we talked for a good over an hour right now too. So let's go ahead and jump to the phone ones right here. Ready?
Okay, cool.
All right. So let's start with the first one right here. What would you consider as your favorite food?
Mexican food. I love it. But also sandwiches, because I do actually eat a lot of sandwiches. It's probably because I'm in the car a lot, but I do really like a good sandwich. Mexican food and sandwiches. But if someone offered me, you can have a sandwich for tea, or you can have tacos, or you could have a chimichanga, or you can have a chili. I'd be like all over the Mexican. I like quite like a hot Mexican food. I used to grow chilies, and some of them were quite hot. But the only problem is there was nobody else in the house ever liked the hot chilies, so I had to stop that. But I do like a nice Mexican.
That's how I tend to get more into the quesadillas, to be honest. That's because my second job.
Lush. Oh yeah, quesadillas, lush, yeah.
Actually, yeah, I would say, my second job, that's pretty much the main Mexican dish that we'll serve to everybody too. It's either like a cheese quesadilla, or they do it with just peppers and onions, or they do it with your steak or chicken, one of those ones too. Or sometimes we actually get a shrimp quesadilla every now and again too.
Nice.
So,
yeah.
A little greasy, but whatever. Everybody wants to slowly die of a heart attack or something, yeah. So
yeah, well, you gotta live sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, true. So for the next one, what would you say is your favorite movie?
I don't think I found an answer to that one. There have been some which are wicked in the past. I don't know if I've got an answer for that one. That's a hard one, isn't it?
I'll tell you guys got a lot of the British crime dramas.
I tell you what, though, I'm going to go right back to when I was a kid, and I really like zombie films. I still like them to this day. And one of my favourites, and I still will watch it, is Zombies Dawn of the Dead. I love that film. So we'll say that.
I think I've always saw like the parody of it, Shaun of the Dead, or something like that.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's more to do with the fact of the age that I saw it, because it's quite a long film compared to like a modern zombie film. But I just loved the film. I seen it at the right age. It was wicked.
Yeah, I know what you mean too. All right, good choice. I'd say, do you watch it more during the Halloween season?
For that sort of films, whenever, innit? Like if I see a zombie style film, they're not in vogue at the moment. It's annoying. I'll be like, let's put a zombie film on. I love a zombie film. In fact, I used to go through times when I used to just dream like films, and like zombie films in me head. Brilliant. Loved it.
You do seem like you would like The Walking Dead, the TV series.
Yeah, I've seen that. The only criticism like that is it just goes on for too long, doesn't it? So I've seen most of it, and I kind of lost it a bit towards the end, and I'm thinking, all right, I'll just finish it off now.
Yeah, they want to at least grind that axe as long as they can, I guess.
I know. I really do. They really do.
All right. But it's whatever. It's a money grab at this point, too. So what can you do? But you have to ask, what's the tattoo on your one hand there?
Oh, right. I've got, it's a treble clef with a guitar neck on the ends. You can see that.
Yeah, it's like a number 6. Kind of makes like that, yeah.
Because it's kind of the wrong way around, isn't it? Yeah. But it's a treble clef with a guitar neck on it. I've got quite a few tattoos. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. All right. And for next fun questions, what would you consider as your favorite alcoholic drink and non-alcoholic drink?
Right, this is dead easy. There was no talks about this one. I'm English, so it's got to be a cup of tea, obviously. And then my favourite drink of all time is spiced rum and Coke. I just, it took me a long time to find the drink, and that's all I drink now. Whoa, what are you doing, Susan? That's my dog. What are you doing? Yeah, spiced rum and Coke.
I was going to say you're a Captain and Coke guy.
We've got loads of good rums down here as well, so we get spoiled for choice these days. I think
you're also Scotch too, yeah. I was going to say, yeah, you're also Scotch too, so I mean, you also have that a little bit of the drinking side as well. All
right, okay. No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. It's all right. It's not my thing. I just like the rum, and also I don't really get bad overs on a rum, so which is wicked.
All right, I see. Good choices nonetheless, too. I would say every now and again, I think a rum and Coke is actually my third choice. If I don't have like a Long Island or Angry Orchard at the restaurants me and my parents go to. So good choices. I do have to ask about the tea, though. I guess, do they always make it a stereotype where you have to have the pinky out and everything?
No. We drink out of like a mug like that. You know what I mean? It's no pinky thing. Nobody... Well, I guess some old people might drink out of a little tiny cup, but what's the point in that?
It's either that it's a nobility thing, if we want to say it. If we want to say it's that thing. So apparently it's etiquette or something like that too. So I don't know.
I don't actually think. Yeah. I've never seen anyone drinking with a pinky stuck out. Maybe they do. I've never seen anyone when I've been over here.
It must be a stereotype thing that we Americans throw at you English guys.
Probably too, yeah.
So,
yeah.
Hey, we gotta make fun of you in some way. So. Okay. For the last of fun questions here, Simon, what's currently your favorite song or a song you've been listening to a good bit recently?
Oh, favorite song. I had to think really hard about this one, and I don't think I can give you. Don't think I can give you one choice. I can give you something. I even looked in my Spotify playlists over the years. And even the top one of them, I think the top one was like Bob Marley jamming, and I was thinking that's not my favorite song. It really isn't my favorite song. So I think we'll split it into some genre related. So there's a whole bunch of cool indie stuff out there. There's loads of really good indie songs. I'm not going to choose one of them because that would mean everyone else would be offended by them. So I'm not going to do that one. But I'm going to go for some songs that people know. So I'm going to go for All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix, because it's just, that's sublime, that song. Love that song. And then I was thinking you really should have a Beatles song in there. But I couldn't choose a Beatles song, so you could just randomly pick one of the later ones, and that'll be good. Hey Bulldog, that's a good one. Get Back, that's good. And then I was thinking about some of the jazz stuff that I really like, and it'll be Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. I mean, it's just amazing. And then if I wanted to be a bit more guitar-y, it'd probably be Django Reinhardt, which is going back to some gypsy jazz, which is just sublime, just amazing. So I've not really answered your question, but I've given you some choices.
Actually, in a couple of interviews, some people did say they listened to a couple indie artists and they really dug like some of their songs too.
Yeah.
Can't name it off the top of my head too, because we don't want to offend anybody here.
No, that's right. Yeah.
That's all good though, too. Those are all good choices too. Actually, I thought you were going to say Help from the Beatles as well too. Or like, I need somebody help.
Yeah. That is a good tune. I'd prefer the slightly later stuff, but yeah, it's a good tune. Yeah.
The funny thing I have to say. Oh, sorry. What were we gonna say?
It's difficult to whittle down, isn't it? To like, which is your favourite tune? It's like you think, well, I've got loads of them, and there's another couple of jazz ones. I could go down like Stanley Clarke, who's a bass player, did some stuff with John McLaughlin, and it's just like it'll be at me whatever event that comes next in my life, and I need some music. It's just a wicked song. So it's called Desert Song, that one. A wicked, yeah.
Yeah, good choice. But going back to the Beatles, I didn't actually notice until a little later in my life, but when I was a kid, I used to watch Thomas the Tank Engine when I was a wee lad, as I like to say. And Ringo Starr was Mr. Conductor. So yeah. I always had to laugh about that too. And it would be nice actually to get him on here before. It would be nice to actually get him on here too before he ends up going like back on tour or anything like that. So I could ask him that question, like, too, like, what made you want to be Mr. Conductor?
Yeah.
So, small world after all. So we'll have to see what happens, but we'll make it happen at some point. So, Simon, we've breezed through everything right here. We're down to one more question. Before we jump into it, did you have any questions for me or any final words you want to say before we jump into it?
No, but thank you for asking me some questions and being interested. It's been brilliant. I've been looking forward to it. So when will it all go out? And
it will go out on Spotify sometime in February. I can have it done as soon as I can, and then YouTube most likely in April because I've already breezed through March pretty good right now. So I'll keep you posted.
Okay, ideal. All right. Okay.
And if you want to do a collab as well, I'm always open. I know I got a couple I got to do with Waiting Under the Bridge, so I got to get those out of the way this week. So
yeah,
we'll make it work. So, but Simon, for the last question right here, I guess, given what COVID has done, obviously, looked like you kind of went down. If we want to say we went down to rock bottom in a sort of way, but you came back up a little better and stronger too. So, but for some of those people who weren't so fortunate, including musicians as well, what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians and people out there as we try to move forward in this post-COVID world?
Yeah, well, post-COVID, it's all about the connections, and music's got the power to connect people, to heal people, make people feel better, and that's what we need to grasp hold of. And that's why most people want to do music, and it's a positive message that, you know, it's always going to be there, music for everybody. Sometimes people might say other things about it, and people might get caught up with charts or this or that, but music is always going to be there. It's in your DNA, and it's going to help you pull through.
I was waiting to pause. I thought you were still going there. All right. But spoken like a true prodigy. All right. So, Simon, we reached the end of my podcast right here, and boy, we talked for a good hour and maybe 15, or give or take how the editing is going to go, maybe 15 or 20 minutes. So we'll see what happens. But
yeah,
nonetheless, thank you again so much again for coming on. Did you have any shout outs or any final words you want to say before we close?
I don't know. Well, just well, thanks for you, really, for making it happen, and just general shout out for the whole community that I'm involved in there. It's just, I think there's lots and lots of people. You know, you've got Vox and Sticks there. You've got, it's just so many people just trying to help each other out, listening to music, and you know, all that whole community. It's just lovely, nice to see. And it doesn't always feel like you're in competition, which is the way it should be, because nobody needs to be in competition. Even if it's not your kind of genre of music, everyone's friendly and supportive. So that's wicked.
You should say friendly competition. Let's at least keep it that way.
No. It doesn't.
But sports-wise.
Yeah.
You don't get it as like confrontational as some of you Scots or Irish do in soccer leagues.
No, that'd be terrible. Just that everyone's. You know, I don't think there's any sort of winners or losers here. That everyone's sort of like getting some good things out of it, and people are making them connections.
Fair enough. All right. But I like keeping it a friendly competition too. So in a good way. So that's also my way of saying I love you guys too. So
yes, so yeah.
All right. And I guess, so what sort of social media are you on in case people want to reach out and do any collabs or just want to talk?
I'm on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. And I have a website as well, redialdestination.com. I'm new to TikTok, so that's interesting. It seems all right at the moment, so quite like that. See how that goes.
All right. Best of luck with you on that one too. So we'll see what happens. All right. So everyone, my guest today was Simon Williams, hailing from the UK, aka Redial Destination. Go check him out on the socials, his website as well. You heard from this guy right here. This guy is also up for a collab, so make sure you guys go hit him up if you want to do one. And we'll see what happens and see where this journey goes. So, Simon, thank you again so much for coming on. Stay safe. Stay tuned, y'all.
Good luck.